everyone. Welcome to this 30-minute COVID-19 webinar on reopening. My name is Jodi Seidler, and I serve at Elam Fellowship, and I'm going to be your host for today. I'm so excited to be with you, and at Elam Fellowship, we are committed to strengthening you as a leader. And I am super pumped, people, because we have Pastors Rick and AJ from Praise Fellowship all the way down in PA joining us today. And so we're going to jump into the topic of reopening. But before that, Pastors Rick and AJ, how about you just introduce yourself? So go for it. Whoever wants to go first.
All right. Well, hey, thanks so much, Jodi. We appreciate being on here. Appreciate all Elam's doing. Ben Pastor, we're in a very rural part of northwestern Pennsylvania, 4 miles south of the state line. So we are almost in New York State. We just stayed out. I've been part of Elam for early 90s. Went to Elam Bible Institute, graduated, 99 from EBI. And so that's a little bit of, I'm lead pastor here, and AJ, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm AJ, and I serve here as a worship pastor. Real excited to be here with you guys. We're real excited that we're going to start opening. Hopefully, we can give you some wisdom, stuff what to do, what not to do. Jodi, back to you.
Thank you. That's what we're hoping to hear from you both. And so I'm super excited. We have some amazing leaders here with us today. And so we're going to dive right into the topic of reopening. You know, many churches, businesses, and ministries are having to process reopening. Some of them have already opened, like you have opened at Praise Fellowship, and some are just on the cusp of reopening. And so we just want to explore some questions of how to navigate this season that we've never had to navigate before. And so my first question for you both is, how did you decide to reopen on the day that you chose? How did that come about?
Well, we're from our area is, again, it's pretty rural. And as far as the disease of Corona, we've been almost completely unaffected. We've had our hospital in our whole county, which is 25 miles by 25 miles, has 38,000 people. So it's pretty rural. We have a hospital. Our hospital has literally had no positive cases. And so we're in a little unique place. So of course, we shut down on whatever it was, March 22nd, like most other people did. And started, did all the things, scrambled, reinvented ourselves like everybody did in 2 days. But the whole time we are not New York City. We're not in a place where crazy things are happening. So the whole time we're thinking about how to reopen. Then in Pennsylvania, they did, they're going red, yellow, and green phases. And we knew we were going to be the first group to go, would be yellow. And so as soon as we were prepped for this. And so when they came out and said on whatever date it was, May 7th, I don't remember, May something, we could go yellow. We knew that we were immediately ready to start meeting. And so we had prepped for it. We were ready for it. And so that's why I think it was a Friday. They said you can gather in groups of 25. We met that Sunday because we were prepared for it from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So the 25 was the magic number that Pennsylvania is using. And so that was what we decided. Let's be creative with 25. And so we went with our 25 turned into multiple groups of 25. And so we were ready at that time.
Yeah. So AJ, did you have multiple services then for the 25, or how did that look?
Yeah, so on May 10th, I guess it was, we met back together for the first time in live groups of people, person-to-person contact. And we've said right from the beginning here at our fellowship, as long as our state and local officials give us guidelines that aren't unethical and unbiblical, we will adhere to those as much as possible. So that number that you keep hearing, that 25, that came from our local officials. And so we said, let's embrace that. So we set up different parts of our facility, if you will, with audio equipment, as well as some way to like a video equipment. And we said, okay, we can have 25 in this location, 25 in this location. And then we also offered multiple times where people could come for those services. So yes, to answer your question, multiple locations, multiple times.
I love that idea of having multiple like meeting places within your building of where, okay, you can go here, you can go here, you can go here. What factors did you have to consider and think through in reopening? Like that's one of the factors of, okay, where can we meet? But what are some other factors that you considered how to work through?
Well, we obviously wanted to follow as much again, we don't have much here, but we had to follow all the being clean, nobody touching door handles, hand sanitizer everywhere. That was our anointing oil, right? They came in, we squirted it on their head.
Yeah.
We did a service and had the entire campus emptied, swept, did a clean sweep of the whole thing. So there were people assigned to cleaning bathrooms and tables and da-da-da-da. And so we brought people in, they had the service, initially three rooms of 75, so 325s. And then they all left. We had a half-hour window in between, did a clean sweep, brought the next people in. People were pretty good about, being smart. We stayed distancing but we didn't have to do like massive regulations on that. This is just the life we're living in. And so we did the clean thing too. We didn't do anything. We're not doing anything with children's ministry. And so that's like another phase that when we decide to jump in.
Yeah, no, that's good. What other factors would you say, AJ, that you all considered and worked through as you were processing reopening?
Yeah, we had a list actually of guidelines that we posted to
Nice.
people. One of the things that we agreed on right from the get-go was that we'd have people sign up for church. I know that sounds odd, but we actually used a third-party service where they could go online and they could select the exact time and the exact service that they were coming to. So as leaders, we knew what to expect for the different services. And then also people knew that they were only going to be in the groups of 25, the smaller groups, and that we would hear by the guidelines. Cleaning was, that was a big one for sure, like Rick mentioned. The other thing we did in the rooms, the room I'm in here now, we actually took all of our chairs and shoved them to the side. And then we only have little pockets of chairs within the large room. So it really encourages people, to keep that safe distance, for sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I love all the things that you're mentioning, the tickets, I guess you could say, sign up for your spot, which was amazing. The cleaning of the buildings, and also the kids ministry is now not quite open yet. So that leads me into my next question for you all for your phases. Do you have phases of reopening that you're doing, and what are those phases?
Well, the first one was literally just reopening. The first week, we didn't even advertise it. Nobody knew about it. It was a completely, we let our people know. We had a reduced number of people, no kids. Then we started to, last week, kind of let the public know a little bit. So obviously more people were here. But then, so the first phase is just 1 hour services in multiple rooms, multiple locations. And then the second phase, but this is a huge thing. We have at least half of our church are families. Well, no families have come. And I understand why they're not coming. So we know that. And so the next phase is how do we keep encouraging the families? And so what does that mean? In fact, we just had a big meeting today, how to go into the next stage with children and with teenagers, well, minors. Dealing with minors is different than dealing with adults. And so that is absolutely next phase. It's probably going to be a soft phase with that too.
That's amazing. What are some ideas that you're thinking through for the soft phase of that?
So one of our facilities here is a newer facility that we built. It's 9,000 square foot, kind of an open air concept building. The sides of it and the back of it are open, but it does have a roof on it. So we're going to utilize that space for something. We're not exactly sure what yet, but definitely that's in our plans. And the weather is definitely getting better. So we can have, kids gather outside. We have a couple acres of land here. We can send them up on the hill for some activities. So we're trying to just utilize what we have within our means to reach back to our people.
Yes, you definitely have to kind of think through your facility and the uses and get very creative with the different ways how you can reopen in phases, how you can do things, how you can fit people. My question for you is, on the days that you have been, the Sundays that you have been having church services, how have you handled the flow of people? So I know you mentioned the ticket thing, but how do you handle it when they show up and directing them and all sorts of things like that?
Well, people are pretty sharp, and so it's not like we're dealing with 3-year-olds. Our people are kind of sharp, and so we have each of our locations has a door that is more logical to go into for that location. So when we've used there's many places to use for tickets, but we've used Eventbrite, and so they buy their ticket, right? It's free, obviously, but then they immediately get an email back to them. And the email gives them instructions. So if they reserved a seat in the cafe, they get an email back that says, go in these doors, use these bathrooms, go to this place. And so because we can use multiple things, the traffic flow is not that hard, and then they can leave any place. But there's, even in the 2 weeks we've done it, the first one, it was a little bit, wow, I haven't seen real people in so long. And so it was a little, do I hug you? Do I kiss you? Do I run away from you? Am I allowed to talk to you? But it will get more normal to, oh, I get it. I can walk here and we're okay like this, and we can talk, and we can be outside. And so, but the flow really has just, it's naturally just happened. I mean, we're adults. We can figure this out, how to walk past people without spitting on each other. And, so I don't say that just to be joke, but I'm just saying, I really think people can figure this out. They can get to their spot. They can go here. Because there's a longing for, and obviously you spent a lot of time in China, so that you can do church in so many different ways, right? The underground church has flourished. But even in the underground church, they have to be in some sort of contact with somebody for it to thrive. So there's a longing for that. So it's, we're still doing a full online service. We're doing in-person service, and we have a radio that is broadcasting to our campus. So if anybody wants to be outside, they can. So there's all these we're doing, but there's still that we've got to be connected. So because of that, people are like, yeah, I can figure this out. I'll go in here. I can talk to you. I can be respectful. I can follow regulations and things like that. And so it actually the traffic flow has not been difficult. I don't know if you want to say anything to that, AJ, but it seemed to have worked.
One of the things we decided was about the surfaces, multiple people touching different surfaces, how to eliminate that. So we'll have one person stand at the door, open the door, so people don't have to touch the door handles. We had different coffee stations set up, but with only one person to sit there and actually pump the coffee, so that eliminates some of the cross-contamination and the flow of cleaning and that kind of thing.
So for you all as a leadership team, how detailed did you get with stuff? Was it super frustrating, or were you able to kind of flow with the details and the guidelines? How did that work for you all?
You go ahead.
Okay. It's obviously been very frustrating, since the beginning, mid-March when this started. We've just been patient. We've been praying. Obviously, you gotta kind of take a temperature of the guidelines, and kind of follow as you go. But we know that God's our protector, and we have to put some kind of faith and trust back into that. And if we really believe what we say we believe, then, we're going to go for this and do it. But yes, definitely a lot of patience for sure.
Well, and the other thing that happens with this is, even if you, like you said, how detailed do you get with things? Well, even if you want to follow guidelines, the guidelines are so ambiguous, right? And they change every week. And you're like, oh, now we can do this, and then we do that. And so it's like, I don't know what to even follow. And so what we've tried to do is be wise, try to follow to a degree some things, but you can't follow all guidelines because they're always changing. But what we're seeing is that everybody's looking for leadership at this time. I mean, the government's looking for leadership. The businesses are looking for leadership. Churches are. And I'm telling you, if we are really being wise, paying attention, hearing from God, the world's looking for leaders now. And so, man, it's time for the church to rise up. We know how to lead. We can hear from, we can be wiser than anybody, right? And so there's a real sense of, okay, we got to be patient, we got to watch, but then we also need to lead at some point because everybody wants somebody to lead. So I don't know, I just have a lot of hope that the church can do this well because we're pretty sharp on that.
And as we encourage our teams here, I want to encourage you as you're watching this. You were born for this. You were born to lead people. You were born to lead your teams. So do not shy away from it. You know, stand up, be bold, be courageous, like Joshua, and lead because you were born for this.
Yes, those are such good words that people are longing for leadership, and we were born for this moment. It was no mistake that you are in leadership for this moment of 2020 craziness, which is a fantastic word to give. Another question I just had for you all is, as you've been doing services now, was there anything that surprised you or that you had to kind of tweak or reevaluate, or anything that you were like, oh, we didn't think through that and now we had to, you know what I'm saying? Is there anything, adjustments that you've had to make along the way?
Well, the one thing that we were, too many people come. I mean, that sounds really goofy thing.
No problem.
Like we did the ticket things, and then when you go to buy a ticket, it would say sold out if this was the thing. But still people came. And so everything we're doing is kind of like, okay, let's be ready at any moment to adjust things. And so we have to have another area ready for kind of overflow. And so I don't know if that's a surprise, but you had to be ready for that. The other thing that, again, not a surprise, but the fact that I think the first week we had one family come. Other than that, there have been no families that have come. And so we asked them, we said, what is with that? I said, listen, it is just easy for us to stay home and watch online because not only are they trying to keep their kids quiet, but then they got to keep them from moving, right? Because now you don't want them to run around. You know, my heart goes out. Of course, AJ has little kids. Mine are teenagers now. But my heart goes out for the family. So that was a little bit of surprise that no families have come. Now, that may be different in every church, but there was just this, we're going to wait because it doesn't make sense for us to come. It'd be so exhausting to be there.
That's true.
Another thing, it really wasn't a surprise, but just something we've tried to improve on the last couple of weeks is connecting our locations. They're already connected virtually, but can we do like two-way video, two-way audio so that the rooms feel more like they're connected and they're not just sitting at home watching another service online on their couch. So those are little improvements that we're trying to make kind of behind the scenes just to make people feel more connected.
Well, like for instance, right after we're done with this meeting, we're actually going and running a video. So in our one room, you'll be able to speak in there and the other room sees you. And then the other room, you'll be able to speak in there and that room sees you. So it will be, every room can talk to the other room. And these rooms are pretty big. Every person's getting 100 square feet. So we're like triple the CDC regulations. But yeah, that two-way thing is really important for that.
I love all of these like tidbits of gold nuggets. I feel like you both are just throwing out there like, this is amazing. Like all these little things that you just don't think of, and ways to make the experience more connected, like you were saying, is so fantastic that you're thinking through that. And even those ideas are like next level ideas. You know, you have the good ideas and then you have the next level. And it seems like you're at those next level ideas, which is amazing. For you in the future, now that you're looking at even just new ways to do things, what does church look like for you in the future? What would you say is where you guys are going and where you're at, what would you say church looks like?
So Rick mentioned the different phases
Mhm.
for Pennsylvania that we have to follow, which are red, yellow, and green. They've laid out a little bit of guidelines for green phase, but again, they're very vague, and we think we'll be in this kind of mode for a while.
Mm.
And like I said, we're going to get creative. We might use like an outdoor type service. We've done a couple of drive-ins before the meeting in person happened. So just trying to think outside the box. Go ahead, Rick, you can add to that.
Well, we've tried to embrace, they said 25. When they said 25, we thought, let's not fight it. Let's embrace it. And because 25, obviously, if you're thinking 25 people, if they're couples or whatever, you're really thinking 12. So now we're into a Jesus model, right? And so we said, let's run with this. And so what we have in all of our 25s is we also have, we call them huddles, and because we've been on Zoom huddles and all that. So we have huddle leaders in every group. And so we will take, let's say our stage is doing something, and that's in every room. And we take time and say, okay, huddle leaders take over. So our stage goes quiet. And then in their huddles, they're ministering, maybe a testimony, maybe somebody's has a prayer concern, and they can. So we're going to embrace the groups of 25 as they grow. Even if we have like 6 groups of 25, we're going to take advantage of that. So, I mean, I don't know what the future, the new norm is, but clearly the one thing that if you want to say, I think over the last 10 years, maybe the church in the West has really gotten away from, unfortunately, is relational discipleship. And we really hope this is, because all discipleship happens within relationship, period. And so hopefully this will encourage people to get back into, oh, I can't wait to go see so-and-so because I can actually talk to so-and-so. And I'm not just an observer. We've turned into a little bit of a spectator Christianity the last decade or so. And this should get us, so I hope it gets us out of the spectator and into the, like, for instance, every service, every person gets in their huddle, hey, tell us your name. Oh, I'm so-and-so. And so every person has at least I was recognized while they're here. So, so I don't know what the future thing holds. Here's the crazy thing. I'm so convinced we are on the edge, maybe at the very beginning of a revival. Well, how are you going to have a revival where you can't gather large amounts of people, right? And so that excites me because it's something we have not seen before in the West. And so I don't know how it's going to happen. I know that, man, the last, especially Sunday, it was just like it was like as strong a meeting in the Holy Spirit as we've had in a few years. I'm like stoked about it. I'm thinking, okay, how do we do this? People are getting frustrated with politics or government or whatever, schools, pick the thing they used to like. They're frustrated, so they're looking for an answer. And I'm just convinced they're going to turn to Jesus. So you ask what it's going to be like. I don't know, but I know somehow we're going to disciple lots of people in small groups. Jesus fed to 5,000, but he actually fed groups of 50. So I'm hoping that in these groups of 25 or 50, we're actually going to feed the 5,000. So that would be the hope of the new norm.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Even preparing for the harvest, you're preparing for the influxes. So we're not caught off guard, but it's preparing those real life discipleship environments and meetings and preparing for the people. Because I think it's very true what you're saying. People are wanting to connect, and they're wanting to go deeper, and they're wanting to have those special times. And so the real life discipleship thing is, like you were saying, going to be key for churches to figure it out and figure out how to do it and do it well, which is very exciting. I love that. What are some tips that you have for people as they're planning to reopen? I know the churches in New York, we're still kind of figuring it out in different parts of the things. Some are almost there and getting ready to be there. So what are some tips that you have for them and some advice that you would have?
I would say one thing, and we really struggled with this. And again, please understand, some of you are in New York City who are watching this. We are not in New York City. Okay? So it's really important to say that. But I really do believe in the leadership team and our eldership team here, we were like, we have to be, whatever we're going to do, we have to really feel at peace about it. Because right now we want to lead a revival, not a revolution. We're not looking to overthrow whatever person we don't like who's in some authority. we want to lead a revival. So we got to really feel at peace about whatever, even if, I don't know, some of the standards are you can meet in groups of 10. Well, even if you meet in groups of 10, make sure you feel at peace about that, because you don't want to go into, you don't want to be in charge of a meeting and there's 100 people there and all of a sudden you get overwhelmed with fear that, the virus is going to take over us. And you really need to be settled and at peace. And I really do think too, especially the leadership team, you got to be in unity about what we're doing, because, we're sticking our necks out there. Even if we're not doing anything wrong, if you're leading, you're the first head that came out of the foxhole. And so that's the first one that's going to get lopped off. And so you better know I got these 10, 20 people really on board with me, because it's, it's just, the first week we led, even in our county, nobody else was meeting. And so they've been slower coming back. And so you better really be in unity and at peace with what you go into, because even if it's just in your mind, you'll get messed with that.
Good.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. The word unity. Our direction team actually met in person for the first time in 6 weeks prior to when we opened. And the focus of that wasn't business, it wasn't finance, it was let's get together, let's pray, let's really focus on what God has for us next. Meeting through that, talking through that, really led us to just embracing this 25, the smaller groups. So really just be in tune with each other, be in unity, be in constant communication. We've actually met more as a leadership team than we ever have. So definitely keep communication. And I will throw this out as an example. We were going to hold a drive-in service. This was way back when. And we just didn't feel like our area was ready for us to be the leader of that. We wanted our area to take this a little more seriously. So we actually drew back a little bit and said, it's not the right time yet for us to lead in this aspect. So, like Rick said, you're going to stick your neck out there. You're going to stick your head out of the foxhole. Be ready for what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the other thing we've done is, because obviously people are perceiving this differently. And so we really want to validate everybody in what they are feeling about it. Because, for some, it's 100% a health issue. Others, it's 100% a political issue. So it's gone all over the place. And so we really encourage people, hey, if you want to stay home, stay home. And we are blessing that. And we're actually producing a separate online service that we're doing just for them. And so, but it's really validating, even letting people, some are really leery of people. That's great. We're blessing that too. And so that is a really thing in preparation to get your people, because it's easy right now, depending on where you live, I'm in this club and I'm in that club. Yeah. Oh man, this is not about choosing a club. This is about really leading a revival. And so really it's okay if somebody's a little bit apprehensive, or we said to people if you're a high-risk person, please stay home, and we'll come to you. We'll come into your house. We'll call you, anything like that. So really validating the whole picture of the thing.
Wow, that's amazing. I love everything that you all have been sharing, and I really hope that this encourages those who are watching. And I love, Pastor Rick, what you shared. We are starting a revival, not a revolution. And that is the heart of what we want to do, and our heart of moving forward and reopening, and the wisdom of meeting together, of praying, of having peace, going by peace. But also I love the creative elements that your team, that you all are coming up with, that I was like, my mind was like, oh my word, that's such a good idea, and such a unique take on it, and how to make it work. And even how you were saying, how you embrace what you're able to do. You can't control what you can't do, but what you're able to do, embrace it and be creative, which is so fantastic. So I just want to thank you so much, Pastors Rick and AJ, for sharing with us about tips for reopening. And for those who are watching, I really hope this is helpful and can help you along your journey as you reopen. And for Elam Fellowship, we are for you. And let's start a revival together and not a revolution. And so we will see you all next time. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.